Okay, so as discussed, this will be our uh, next lesson for tourism and hospitality marketing. So, as you can see on the first page of the presentation, this will be an active participation for this discussion because it will be part of your icebreaker game. Not necessarily an icebreaker game, but an active participation because you're going to find this star. Okay, the look of this star, please find me in my entire PowerPoint presentation. And at the end of the presentation, you're going to comment at the comment section the total number of stars that you found, okay, while you are listening on our presentation or discussion. So any question before we proceed? Are we all clear? Any reaction, please, so that we are all aligned? All right. So all you need to do is find this star. Okay. But this star photo here is not included in the counting. It will start on the next slide if the star is present there. Okay. So let's begin. So our topic for this morning is all about tourism, consumer behavior, communication, and product. So all of these are part of tourism and hospitality marketing. And may I call on for the learning objectives, Ms. Tabilin to please read. So these are the learning points that you should be able to acquire at the end of our discussion. So let's begin. So first is I would like to ask you, think about the last trip you really wanted to take. And may I ask one of you, what made you choose that destination? Anybody? What motivates you to choose that destination? None? Okay, may I call on Erica? Yes, loud and clear. All right, very good. So thank you, Miss Mayula. So those preferences that was mentioned by Miss Erica are or were all correct based on her preferences. So as mentioned by Miss Erica, the decision was made due to transportation or proximity from the Philippines to Taiwan, choices of the family members to went there. So all of those things that are mentioned are her and their are her family motivation and her motivation as well to travel in that destination. So each of and every one of us has different reasons why we are traveling or why we are going to different destinations. And those reasons and motivations allow us to choose options from the available products and services that are being offered to us, which is part of the concept of tourism and hospitality marketing. Now, these are some of the factors that influence buying consumer behavior. These are the behaviors of the customers or the market that we are trying to understand, or we are trying to um, take in consideration when we are offering our products and services. So the first one, we have the cultural factors. So in cultural factors, you tend to take in consideration when it comes to your beliefs, values, or lifestyle. So local, there are travelers that they are prefer local travel. They are There are travelers that they prefer international travel, or when it comes to their allergens, so it connects to their food choices. Okay, so those are cultural factors that we need to take in consideration when we are buying a certain products or services. Okay, next is social factor. So Miss Muyula mentioned earlier that one of the reasons why they went to Taiwan is because of family gathering. So though that reason is will fall under social factors, under family, friends, peers, reference groups. When you are traveling because of your friends, because of your organizations, or your travel decisions is being influenced by your friends, your family, or recommendations, those will fall under social factors. Okay. Third is we have personal factors. When we mean personal factors, it is all about your demographic. As we discussed in a previous lesson, it will fall under demographic segmentation. So we categorize or we characterize our choices based on our age, occupation, income, so on and so forth. So you are traveling, for example, as a single person. So your travel choices or options is different from people who are traveling with their kids or with their elders. So your travel preferences, your travel requirements will become different from one another because you have different personal requirements. Next is psychological factors. We already discussed this as well in the previous lesson under psychographic segmentation. So it allows you to choose a destination based on your learning, based on your attitude, based on your emotions, based on your experiences. Next is economic factor. So this is really self-explanatory. When we say economic factors, it relates to the availability of your income or the amount of money that you have. Meaning, the more money that you have, the more um, luxury you can travel. While if you have limited budget, then you will choose a certain products or services that is fit to your budget. And lastly, marketing and communication factors. When it comes to marketing and communication factors, your travel patterns or your buying patterns will fit depending on the advertisement, promotions, or online presence that you can see in the social media. Like, for example, while we are browsing our Instagram, our Facebook, our TikTok, and suddenly we see a certain product that entice our attention or our eyes. And due to that advertisement or promotion, it attracts you uh, to buy those kinds of products and services. Okay, that's why these are the factors that influence buying consumer behavior. You do not need to memorize all of this. Okay, you just need to understand that people with different behaviors have different buying behavior as well or buying preference as well. That doesn't mean that Miss Tabuena wants the color pink, it will also be the same with Miss Almira. So at the end of the day, the key takeaways that you need to understand is different people, different behavior, different buying preferences. Okay? Do you still follow, class? Very good. Next. So I just tiered it down one by one. So as we discussed, we have cultural factors, we have social factors, we have personal factors, psychological factors, economic factors, and marketing and communication factors. Okay. Next. the buying decision making process. So what do we mean when we say buying decision making process? So when we say buyer decision making process, it explains the mental and behavioral steps a consumer goes through before, during, and after purchasing a product or a service. Meaning, these are the standard operating procedure, or these are the step by step procedures that we are doing before we are finally purchasing a product. Ano ba yung, what do we do before buying a certain products and services? That's what we call the buyer decision making process. You need to also understand that this is a core concept in marketing, tourism, and hospitality because it helps businesses understand why and how customer choose. Okay, so it allows us to identify the needs and preferences of our customer by analyzing their decisions when it comes to purchasing a products or a services. Now, we have uh, this consumer decision making process. So we have five process that we need to take in consideration. So the first one is we have needs recognition. The second one is information search. The third one is evaluation of alternatives. And then we have purchase decision and post purchase behavior. Now let's discuss it one by one. The first one is problem or need recognition. So from its word problem or need recognition, what is the first thing that we need to understand or take in consideration before we purchase a product? Anybody? What do we mean when we say problem or need recognition? May I call on Dean, Karen? Are you there, Karen? Last time I audible? Yeah, Karen, can you hear me? You are muted. I cannot hear you. Are you here or none? Okay, so I think Karen is absent because I cannot see or hear her. Yes, dear. You can mute your microphone so that I can hear you. Isn't it working? Okay, I think you do not want to open anything, so I think I will mark you absent. If you do not want to answer class or if you are not answering your my question, it's okay. But please acknowledge me. Thank you. Okay, so what do we mean when we say problem or need recognition? So when we say problem or need recognition, it's all about, yes, all this. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Ole. So when we say problem or need recognition, it is very simple that there is a need or there is a problem that you need to solve. Okay, you need to buy because it is required for you to buy because you identify a common problem or a common need, okay, that you need to purchase a certain products or services. So how does a problem or a needs can be triggered? Okay? What are the triggers of need and problems when it comes to consumer buying decision factors? So, one of the factors that you need to understand is internal factors. So, this internal factors is relative to the example of Oles. Okay? Oles mentioned, for example, you want to travel because you are bored. Okay, that's a need. That's a problem. That's internal factors. When we say internal factors, it is within you. It is inside you. Okay? So another example of a problem, you are hungry. So what do you need to do? You just wait for yourself to collapse, or you will buy a certain food or product that ease your hunger. Another example, you are stressed and you want to unwind. So what do you need to do? You're going to go from one place to another. You're going to travel from one place to another. That's what we call internal factors. Okay? These factors gives you a need or a problem in order for you to purchase products and services. Do you follow, class? Very good. Next, external factors. When we say external factors, these are the things that allows you to see a certain products and services, and they influence you to purchase a certain products or services. So as I mentioned, for example, you are browsing in an Instagram or a TikTok and you see an advertisement about lotion, or an advertisement about Coron Palawan. Okay, so there is a DIY travel vlog about Coron Palawan, and it entices you. That's why it allows you, or it push you to buy the same travel packages. Another example is peer influence. Your friends, your coworkers, your family. One of your friends traveled to Singapore and you saw the pictures of her or him traveling in Singapore. And when you ask him or her, "Hi, Mr. Oles, how's your travel in Singapore?" And he will said, "It's great. I really enjoy the ambience of Singapore. You should try." That's what we call peer influence that will fall under external factors. Okay? And these are the triggers of problem and need recognition. Okay? You need to have the need in order for you to purchase. So, next step is information search. So you already have the problem. You already have the need. Okay? So you are bored. I am bored. What I am going to do? So you're going to create, or you have to do information search. So since you have a problem, then you will look for a solution. So I am bored. I want to travel. What will I do? Okay? So you will search first. Okay, a certain vlogs, a certain pages, anything that will give you knowledge, details, or informations about the need or the problem that you will have. So the buyer will look for a solution. So what are the sources that you can do in order for you to dig deeper when it comes to information search? Anybody? What are the sources that we can use in order for us to search for an information about our problem, or for or looking for a solution? Anyone? Bernadette. Very good. So those are some of the sources that you can check when you are going to create or dig deeper with when it comes to details. So these are some of the sources. So first is personal. So you can ask directly from your friends or family. "Hi friend, do you know about hiking in Mount Pinatubo?" Because I saw in one of your Instagram posts that you went there last month. That's what we call personal. When you will talk personally or face to face with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers. Okay. Next is commercial. As mentioned by Bernadette, this will under ads, websites, social media. Okay. So anything that can be found or find online that will fall under advertising, website, and social media, all of those will fall under commercial. Next is public. Okay, when we say public, this belongs to uh, or accessible to anybody. Okay? When you go to Agoda, when you go to TripAdvisor, when you go to Google, so there are a lot of reviews about the products. When you go to TikTok, diba? Under search, when you click a certain product in TikTok, you will find a reviews in Lazada, in Shopee, blogs and vlogs. Okay? Next, now we are done with information search. So you already have your options. Sorry, you already have your um, searches, your details, your information about a certain solution that you will do for your problem. Now, you're going to move on to evaluation of alternatives. When we say evaluation of alternatives, the buyers compare the options. So you already did your searching. So, for example, your problem is travel. You want to travel because you are bored. Then you search it from online platforms, you ask your friends, and now you have your options. I want to travel, and these are my options. Boracay, Palawan, Cebu, Davao. You have four options. Okay? Now, you're going to evaluate these four options. You're going to compare, okay, in order for you to check which is which, or which is better, or which is the best among the rest. Okay, that's what we call evaluation of alternatives. Now, if I will ask you, what do you think is the criteria that you will use or strategy that you will use in order for you to evaluate your options? For example, as I mentioned, you have Boracay, Palawan, Davao, Cebu as options. What are the criteria that you're going to do, Jana? Perfect. Very good. So those are the criteria that you need to take in consideration when you are comparing your options. Oh, it doesn't mean that you already have four options. That's it. Okay? Because you have to solve a certain need or a certain problem, and you have to come up with one solution. So those criteria are all correct. So to specify, as mentioned by Jana, price. You have to check what are the prices of tickets traveling to Palawan, traveling to Davao, traveling to Cebu, traveling to Boracay, for example. Second is quality. Okay? If visiting that destination or visiting that attraction uh, give you an exceptional satisfaction, is the hotels, the transportations, the restaurants offering highest quality of products and services when you get there. That's quality. Next is location or proximity. So when we say location or proximity, how long will you need to travel in order for you to get there? Okay? Do you need to take an airplane? Do you need to take a bus? Do you need to take um, a boat? Or in order for you to transfer from one location to another, you have to try different modes of transportation. Another factors that you need to consider under location is safety and security. When you are traveling to a certain place or location, you have to check if that place is secured. Okay? And reviews. Of course, you have to take in consideration reviews online. So when you compare the four options, who among all of those options got the higher reviews and the lower reviews? Then you can compare the destination from one another given this criteria. Okay? That's what we call the evaluation of alternatives. You have to compare your options. Next, now you already compared your options. You have different comparison. You check with all of the websites, so on and so forth. Now, you're going to proceed to your purchase decision. Okay, among of the four destinations that you select or your options, you as a buyer will choose what to buy. Okay, you will come up with a solution from Davao, Cebu, Boracay, Palawan. What will be the best option? What will be I purchase? Where I am going to travel? That's what we call purchase decision. However, class, you have to take note that your final decision can still be affected by the following. Okay? Meron, nakapag-come up na tayo, meron na tayong napili. However, it can still be affected suddenly by this things. Anybody before I reveal it? What are the things that suddenly changes our options or our decision when buying a product? We already come up with a solution. We already chosen a certain product, but suddenly these factors allows us to change sometimes. Anybody? Shy, Acosta. Very good, correct. So all of those things can really affect our final decisions when purchasing a certain products and services, and suddenly we change. Okay, or we canceled or we postponed. So these are some as mentioned. The first one is promotions. Okay, you already come up with your decision. Okay, I will buy travel packages in Palawan because that's the best choice based on my search, based on my comparison. But suddenly, when you are about to finish booking the travel package in Palawan, you see that there is a promotion travel packages in Boracay, which is really a good deal. That's one promotion. Next, as mentioned by Shai, availability. Okay, you already decided that you will purchase Palawan, but upon checking with the dates that you want that fits your schedule, it's no longer available. That's why you will change again. Another mentioned by Shai, opinions. Okay? Sometimes we already made up my mind. We already have our decision. But you bump into a friend. Oy, friend, I'm going to travel to Davao next month. But your friend suddenly say, oh, you're going to travel to Davao next month. However, Davao is really devastated by a typhoon right now. And I think it is not necessary for you to travel in Davao next month because they are still rehabilitating their infrastructures. Okay, that's one opinions. Okay, so these are the decisions or the factors that affects or change our decisions from time to time. Next, lastly, post-purchase decision. So you already purchased a product. You already availed the services. Now, it's time for you to evaluate whether you become satisfied or not in the products and services that you availed. So, what are the outcomes of your decision? What are the results of your decision? So, there are only two options. The first one is, of course, satisfaction. You really become satisfied when with the products and services that you purchased. That's why you will purchase it again, okay, in the next coming months, and you will leave a positive reviews because you become satisfied. And the other one is dissatisfaction. So in short, you are disappointed with what you purchased. That's why you will complain. You will give negative reviews or negative word of mouth. Okay? That's what we call post purchase behavior. Whether you become satisfied or not satisfied with the products or services that you will purchase. Okay? Are we all clear? Are we still aligned? Do you all follow? Next, so we are done with consumer behavior. We already analyzed how they decide when they are purchasing a certain products and services. Now, let's discuss how does our market or how does our customer communicates uh, the products and services that they are trying to buy. Okay? How they are trying to give us hints or understanding of the options that they want to purchase or the preference that they want to um, proceed when it comes to the products and services. Okay. So, what do we mean? When we say tourism marketing communication. So it is the process that explain how tourism organizations deliver messages to tourists and how tourists interpret and respond to those messages. So it is a two-way factor. The organization or the business that are offering the products and services and the market or the tourists that are purchasing the products and services. Now, in short, how I are they communicating with each other under the tourism and hospitality marketing communication process? Okay. Okay, so these are the elements of tourism marketing communication. So we have six elements: sender, encoding, message, channel, receiving, receiver, decoding, noise, and feedback. So you have to take note all of this elements of marketing communication process. So isa-isahin natin. The first one is what we call sender. Okay? It is very self-explanatory. I believe you are all using your own mobile phone, tablets, laptops, and you send messages from time to time. You communicate with one another from time to time. So in short, when we say sender, these are the organization that wants to communicate. So who are the organization in the tourism and hospitality marketing? Okay, these are the marketing agency, these are the hotel, the airlines, the cruise lines, the restaurants, the travel agency, the tour guides that sells their products and services. Okay, so they are considered as the sender because they are the one who wants to communicate or gives information to their target market. Okay? Next. Next is encoding. So what do we mean when we say encoding? So when we say encoding, you turn your ideas into a marketing message. Okay? Meaning you have your strategy on how to promote your products and services. Now, how are you going to translate it to a marketing message or to a marketing materials or to a marketing promotions? So it includes first words. Okay, you can create marketing materials through words. You can create slogans, okay, captions. So what are the previous slogans of Department of Tourism? Anybody? We have a lot of slogans. Alice. Any. It's more fun in the Philippines. So it's more fun in the Philippines is one of the slogan of Department of Tourism that used to become a marketing message. So if you have time to watch the video, so it you will really see how encoding turns ideas into a market or marketing message. Next is a visual. So in promoting a certain products and services, you will encode ideas into visuals. You can create photos, you can create videos. Okay. Sample of this is the activity that you did, okay, last time on your activity one. You screenshot a certain promotions or a certain post in the social media. That's what we call visuals. And symbols. Okay, you can also market or you can also promote products and services through symbols or through colors like logos or colors. For example, uh, in a food industry, in a restaurant industry, if you see colors and logos of yellow and red with bees, what restaurant is this? Anybody? In a fast food industry, yellow, red, with the bees. Vienna, Jollibee. As simple as that. That's what we call symbols. Okay, you interpret or retain a certain image or a certain product in your mind through the colors, through the logos, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what we call encoding. Next is message. So when we say message, it is the actual information of details being communicated. Okay? For example, you post in your Instagram, you are a travel agency and you have a travel packages sale on November 25 to December 30, 2026. Come and visit at our office at Makati, Philippines. It is a first come, first serve basis. Okay? Our travel packages is composed of Cebu, Davao, Bacolod, for example. That's what we call message. The details or the informations of the products that you are trying to sell or trying to promote. Next is channel. Another term for channel is medium. Okay, in short, how the message is delivered. Okay, what channel do we use in order for us to deliver our message? For example, you posted a video in TikTok about your travel vlog in Australia. So, what channel or medium did you use? You use social media, okay, to deliver your message. You use your TikTok account. So there are a lot of channels that we can use. We can use emails, we can use um, flyers, or in short, there are two categories that you are already aware of, the traditional and digital channels. Okay, so traditional, billboards, flyers, while digital, social media, websites, boostings, so on and so forth. So these are the things that you need to use in order for you to deliver your message. Next is receiver. So the first one is the sender, and this one is the receiver, which is the intended audience, the people or the person who are you targeting. Okay, your market, your customer, they are the one who will receive your message. When you post online, those of your followers, those of your market are your receiver. Anybody who will see, hear, okay, and check your post or your message is your receiver because they are your audience. Next is decoding, meaning your audience or your message already reach your audience. Okay, your audience already views your videos or your photos. Now, how does or how they are trying to interpret the message? Okay, in short, what's their understanding on your message? How they are going to decode it? Okay, from the message that you post, how do they see it? Okay, what's their perception or opinions about it? Now, please make sure to understand that interpretation depends on the following. Okay? As we discussed last meeting under psychographic segmentation, people have different mindset. People have different thinking. That's why when it comes to decoding, your tourists, your market have different interpretation based on this. The first one is culture. Okay? So for example, I posted a photo of um oh, I posted a photo that I am traveling in for example in Europe example, and suddenly in my photo there is a background there that people are swimming in the beach rather, without clothes, they are all naked. Now while I am traveling there, for me it is okay for them to swim in the beach without clothes because that's their culture. But what will be the interpretation of the people living, for example, in Southeast Asia when they see my photo? Anybody? Other hands? Francine Camero. What's your answer to my question there? Yep. Okay, so in Francine's point of view, thank you, Francine's. In Francine's point of view, when I uh, gave you the example, she said that she will act, okay, based or aligned in the culture of those people being naked in that country when she see the photo of mine. Okay, those people are naked. That's her interpretation. That's her point of view. That's what we call decoding. Now, may I ask another perspective of your explanation? What will you feel or what will you uh, uh, interpret, Almira? Very good. So, in the point of view of Almira and other person, if they see the photo of mine having other people naked in the beach, they will become culture shock because in Europe, that culture is okay. But in the Philippines, for example, as part of the Asia or Southeast Asia, we are not into those kinds of culture that when we are swimming in the beach, we are all naked. That's why we will become culture shock. That's what we call interpretation under culture. Our decoding, our perception, our interpretation depends on our culture. Next, past travel experiences. Meaning, there are people that they will have a positive interpretation, while other will have a negative interpretation on the message. First, maybe they already went there and experienced bad service, while the other, they also went there, but they have experienced a good service. Okay. Next, expectations. Okay? The simple explanation is expectation versus reality. We always encounter this from time to time, especially in social media. In the photo, it is very good, it is mesmerizing, it is amazing. All of the packages are there, all of the activities are there. But when you get there, mapapasabi tayong, ito na yun? Okay, bakit iba? Okay, why is it different from the photo and on the actual? And you have to always remember, class, that the message sent doesn't always message receive. Okay? It doesn't mean that you send a message, it will always receive all the time. Okay? In simple explanation, we thought we already sent our friends, Uy, let's meet at the coffee shop by 5 p.m. Then you thought you click the send button. And then after 5 p.m. you are waiting there and no one's coming. And when you see your chat, oh, you can you you have or you do not have internet connection pala that time. Or nagkaroon ng glitch dun sa system. So you have to always remember that message sent will not always be received. Why? Because of the noise. Okay? What do we mean when we say noise in the communication channel? Anything that distorts or blocks the message. Anything that puts wall, okay, between the sender and the receiver. Okay? That's what we call noise. So what are the example of noise? First is misleading ads. Okay, in the advertisement that you see, they said they said that they have a promotion on December 1 to 31. First come, first serve for 100 persons. That's the only thing in the ads. Okay? But when you go there, on the time being period, there are a lot of other mechanics that you need to comply in order for you to avail the promotions. Another example of misleading apps. Have you tried in Facebook or in Instagram when you click a certain ads or videos, it will link you to another platform, but it is a different products or services being offered. So that's what we call misleading ads. Another example of misleading ads is anybody who can give me of misleading ads, class, that you've encountered. I want other hand. Daphne. Very good. Correct. That's misleading ads. It's very enticing, especially to you students, right? That every time that you see a post that you do not have a classes, you suddenly click it so that you can see the full details. And when you click it, so it will land you to Temu, to Shopee, to Lazada, so on and so forth. So very good. Misleading ads. Lastly, Bustria, Sophia. Do you have other? Okay. Very good. So that's expectation versus reality when it comes to misleading ads. Imagine you are very excited when you see the photo or the ads of the products that being advertised. And then when it was delivered to you, so it's very disappointing that the looks and the sizes are far different from the ads that they are trying to advertise. So that's what we call misleading ads. It will also be part of the noise that distorts the message. Okay, very good. Also, poor internet connection. So, as I mentioned earlier, you think you you sent the message already, but suddenly you had an out of internet connection. That's why it doesn't seem sent to the receiver that you are trying to connect with. Okay? Next, overcrowded information online. When we say overcrowded information online, these are advertisement or promotions that are uh, claiming a lot of benefits, a lot of advantages, and sa sobrang daming information online, hindi mo na alam kung ano yung pipiliin mo. Anybody who can give me the best example of overcrowded information online? There are a lot of uh, promotions, marketing online. Anyone? Okay, I'll be okay. Tating, Gwinnett. Very good. So very timely. So as mentioned by Gwyneth, there are a lot of cosmetic products that being offered online, and all of those cosmetic products promises us a good result, a good advantage, a good benefits, a good quality, but with affordable price. Due to a lot of offerings, due to a lot of promotions, you as a buyer or as a market is having a hard time choosing what's best among of the options. Okay, that's one of the good example. And lastly, one of the best example as well is soap. There are a lot of soap, oils, scrubs, Himalayan Himalayan salt that you will mix to bonita oils, and it will make your skin white. All of those things are a lot online, and you are having a hard time or confused which to buy because of the informations that are being spread, okay, in the social media. And lastly, negative reviews. If there are negative reviews, magdadalawang isip ka kung bibilihin mo ba siya or hindi. Even though there are other positive reviews, but every time that you will see negative reviews, you'll get confused. Okay? And next is feedback. When we say feedback, that's your response to the message. Okay, that's your reaction to the message sent to you. So forms of feedbacks can be inquiries. You see an ads, you become enticed, you are hooked, you inquire. Okay, bookings. Travel packages that offered to you during the travel expo is cheap and with good inclusions and what do you call this, with a lot of activities, then you book. That's what we call another feedback. Like, shares, comment. When I am asking you right now, do you still follow, are you still there? That's what we call feedback. Okay, you respond, you have an action. Reviews and complaints is also part of your feedback. After you satisfied with the product, after you uh, engage with a negative experience, you give reviews and complaints and repeat visits. Okay, so these are the feedback of the communication channel. So these are the different processes of customers and organization communicating with one another. And now we are done with our last topic, which is the tourism product. Okay, so we already discussed tourism products. So when we say tourism products, these are the experiences, the services that we are offering to our guests in the tourism and hospitality industry. Okay, so there are components of tourism products that you need to take in consideration. So you have to remember the 6 A's of tourism. Okay, so 6 A's of tourism is the summary of the tourism product. So the first A in the tourism product is what we call attractions. Okay? So attractions are product of tourism industry. It is subdivided into two, the natural and the man-made. So I think it is already self-explanatory when we say natural. It is already here on Earth, created by our Creator. Man-made is built with built by human. Okay, so that's what we call attractions. So next we have accessibility. So when we say accessibility, these are the transportation that we are using when we are traveling, when we are um, going from one place to another. So there are a lot of accessibility that we can use. We have airports, roads, ports, public transport. Next, we also have accommodation. So we have hotels, resorts, inns, and homestays. We also have amenities. Amenities allows us to feel convenient and comfortable when we are traveling. Okay, these are the necessities or necessary things that we need to take in consideration before we travel from one place to another or before we avail a certain products or services. We have restaurants, shops, banks, hospital, Wi-Fi services, ATM machines, so on and so forth. Activities is part of 6A's tourism as well. So we have sightseeing, festivals, adventure tourism, wellness activities, MICE events, okay, so activities. And lastly, we have ancillary services. When we say ancillary services, these are the services that helps us to connect with the various products and services in the tourism industry. So they are the linkages, okay, that helps us to create our experience or avail various experience in the tourism industry. So we have travel agency, tour guides, safety and security. So these are the 6 A's of tourism. So please remember that. Now, since we have these products in the tourism industry, the experience in the tourism industry, the destination in the tourism industry, please remember that we have this what we call the stages of the product life cycle. So what do we mean when we say stages of product life cycle? So when we say PLC, please remember this because this is part of your prelim exam. So when we say product life cycle, it explains how a product performs in the market over time. So it shares to us the different life cycle of a certain products or services that we are availing. So let's discuss it one by one. So the first one is what we call introduction. There's one, as you see in the screen. When we say introduction, this is when the product is new to the market. Okay? People are just starting to know about it. So there are also high promotion costs because since the product is new to the market, you have to promote it extensively so that the people can uh, have an awareness with your product. So you introduce your products to the market. So for example, newly opened eco park, newly opened coffee shop, that's what we call introduction stage. The product is still new to the market. In short, baby pa lang. Next is um, growth or growth stage. So in the growth stage, meaning the product is becoming popular and accepted by the market. They like it, they talk about it, sales is increasingly boosting. There are also other competitors that are offering similar products of yours. For example, there is a destination trending on TikTok. For example, anybody who can give me a product or a destination that are trending right now. Cyrene, loud and clear, dear. Very good. So that's what we call growth stage. If a certain destination, such as Harbin in China, is trending, then people uh, wants to go there. Okay, people wants to experience that destination, and meaning since there is growth and it's becoming popular, okay, the sales are increasing, the travel packages are increasing. Okay, yes, Alice. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So I am quite familiar with that because correct, I am seeing a lot of reviews of that chocolate Dubai chocolate online. And since there are a lot of reviews and vlogs of that Dubai chocolate online, there are a lot of people who are also offering and buying that product and at the same time vlogging as well for contents, for views, so on and so forth. So that's what we call growth. People are increasing demand. People are knowing it. Next is let's move on to maturity. So when we say maturity, so the product is already well known. The product is already uh, being offered with a lot of customers. And there are millions or thousands of customers have tried it already. People are going there already. Okay, the sales are high, but it's no longer increasing fast. Why? Because since people are getting to use of it, people are trying these products or services, then they will come up with their reviews, whether positive or negative. If it's positive, then they will try it again, but not sooner because they already tried it. If it's negative, then they tried it once and will never go back again. Okay? So meaning when it comes to maturity stage, the product is stable. Okay? But the business needs to work harder to promote it because there are a lot of competitors already. There are a lot of competitions in the market. Okay? Because the products have already introduced and well known with the market or with the customer. And next is decline stage. When we say decline stage, sales start to decrease. Okay, since they already tried it, there are already they have already reviews. Okay, customers or the market lose interest. Nawawala na sila ng pakialam or nawawala na sila ng need na puntahan yon. Okay, kasi nga okay na eh, na-try na natin eh. And meron na ulit bagong trending. Meron na ulit bagong product na bago. Okay? Best example, anybody who can give me a product that becomes um, introduced and then growth, maturity, and then went to decline stage. Na nawala na, hindi na siya ulit uso. Other hand, okay, let's wait for the others who are also thinking. If none, then okay, Bernadette, inunahan mo ako sa example ko. Okay, sige. Okay. Very, yeah. Very good. So one of the best example is the Diwata Pares of Diwata, 'di ba? When it was introduced, there are a lot of long lines coming up. There are a lot of bloggers, reporters, even televisions has been reported of the growth of the Diwata Pares. And then suddenly after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, it became mature. Okay? Suddenly, unti-unti, okay, the customers decline until 2 to 3 customers are coming in na lang. Okay? That's what we call stages of product life cycle. And lastly, rejuvenation. When we say rejuvenation, it is optional, but make sure that it is be sure that it is really important in tourism. When we say renovation, if a certain destinations or attraction has declined, you have to renovate it or innovate a new products or services in order for you to make it grow once again. Okay, or in order for you to reinvent or restructure that products and services so that you can offer it again to the market. For example, heritage site or destinations that are abandoned, for example, and a certain businessman or business people provide finances and create a certain activities there or a certain building um, that will renovate the infrastructure of that building. That's what we call rejuvenation. When you are trying to restore, okay, the declined products or services in order for you to offer it again to the new market or to the market. You will add a new twist, you will add a new trend, you will add a new activities in order for you to entice your market. So that's what we call stages of the product life cycle. So these are the illustration of the product life cycle. We have introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So kita nyo siya from low point going up, its peak or until maturity, and then it will fall down into decline. It will only become up again if you're going to rejuvenate or you're going to restore a certain products, services, or destinations. Sorry, certain products and services. That's what we call product life cycle. And lastly, we are done with the product life cycle. Of course, we have the destination life cycle. Class, don't be confused. Product is different from destination. When we say product, it is a tangible product that we are buying, okay, or purchasing in the tourism and hospitality industry. While destination is intangible. This is a place or a location, okay, that we are uh, trying to experience, okay, for the tourism and hospitality industry. So we have six stages. This is under Butler's model. So these destination life cycles explain how a tourist destination develops and changes over time. So it is introduced by Richard Butler, or it is also being called as TARC. When we say TALC, tourism area life cycle. So we have six. It is similarly the same, okay, with tourism product life cycle. But it has a different wordings when it comes to its stages. So the first one is exploration. So same with introduction, very few tourist visits, no proper facilities. Okay. Um, in short, the place is still undiscovered. Okay. Only few people knows this destination. Okay, or this places. Next is involvement. Okay, it was only doubled. When we say involvement class, local people starts offering small services. For example, you under exploration, you discover that. there is a hidden majestic falls in Dasmariñas, Cavite. Okay. Suddenly we discover that there is falls in Dasmariñas, Cavite, that the water is very crystal clear. There is a lush of trees, grasses, so on and so forth. And then it becomes involved. The people living in Dasmariñas, Cavite becomes involved with the destination. They start offering food stalls. They start offering Airbnbs, homestays, um, cabanas. Okay, that's what we call involvement. Okay, the community starts participating in the tourism destination, and then it becomes developing. You already posted, oh, there is a falls here in Dasmariñas, Cavite. Go here, blah 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 blah. So tourist numbers increase quickly. There are a lot of investors entering. There are a lot of hotels, resorts, and infrastructures in the vicinity of that destination. Okay, in short, the destinations becomes commercialized and widely promoted. And then suddenly it becomes developed. Okay, we will go through consolidation. Okay, what do we mean when we say consolidation? Tourism becomes a major economic activity. Okay, there are a lot of activities being done in that place. Okay, the destination is already established and stable. Okay, there is crowding. A lot of people are going there. A lot of people are trying all of the activities. Before, only 10 people are going. Now, thousands of people are visiting. Okay? Next, so consolidation. And then after that, sorry, I forgot to include it here. Stagnation. So please take down note. After consolidation, we will move to stagnation. So when we say stagnation, here, stagnation, meaning it becomes stationary, stagnant, not moving, no movement. Okay? Since there are a lot of overcrowded people, infrastructure became devastated, degraded, a lot of waste, pollution, noise pollution, then the destination becomes wreck or nasira na siya. Okay? Kasi hindi natin na-control yung tourism activity. So, once it becomes stagnant and activities are not prospering, it will decline or babagsak siya over a period of time. Lalo na kapag walang renovation or hindi siya ini-improve, hindi siya pinapaganda. Okay? The destination will decline. And you have another option, rejuvenation. When we say rejuvenation, whether you will now improve it again, okay? Restructure it again, okay? Redevelop it again so that you can still offer it or you will offer it again to your market. You rehabilitate. Okay? Anybody who can give me one of the best example of a destination that goes to this cycle? Anyone? Hi, other hand. Ria. Perfect. Good example. Thank you, Ria. Correct, class. Boracay is one of the best example that the people will forever remember. Okay? Because during the period of our former president, Duterte, okay, Boracay went closed for months, okay, for rehabilitation because of there are a lot of leakage to different establishment there that affects the environment, the situations of the seas there. That's why it went close so that it will become rehabilitated again. And after those months that was closed, it become rejuvenated, and now we can still enjoy the beauty of the Boracay. That's what we call tourism area life cycle destination. Okay? And that's the end of our discussion. May I ask everybody to open